Ladies and gentlemen, I have our CEO and the co-creator of the Flat Belly Lifestyle 2.0. This is the plant-based for your blood type. Listen, Melissa has been an advocate for health and nutrition since she had her own health challenges in her teen years at 19. Since then, she's been on a journey to make sure that not only she knows what the best foods are to make her completely healthy, give her energy and vitality, but that others learn the best ways to be able to live on a high vibration so they can be their best. Without any further ado, I want to introduce to some and reintroduce to others author, co-author, and the CEO of Wakana, Melissa Boston.
Wow, Kathy, thank you so much. I'm going to just show my image just for a second. I'm here at a wedding, so I'm going to actually be moving around, and I want to make sure I get good bandwidth. So I'm going to actually go ahead and take my camera off. That's going to give me plenty of internet room, but super excited, Kathy. And I tell you what, just appreciate all that you are doing. And let's go ahead and get this started. So what I want to do first, I want to go ahead and welcome each and every one of you to the Flat Belly Lifestyle 2.0. In fact, we're going to be focused on plant-based for your blood type, okay? I'm going to say that again, okay? Because that's a mouthful, and that's a new concept for many people. You know, when you hear the word, first of all, blood type, I mean, my question is, does anyone on the line even know your blood type? Okay, we're going to get into that. And we're going to talk about plants, okay? Because when we think about healing and the body's ability to experience healing, it really requires the nutrients that our plants provide. And so we're going to get heavy into plant-based. We're going to talk about this new lifestyle. We're calling it 2.0, okay? Because we know that in the first Flat Belly Lifestyle, we had some extraordinary success with that. But in this next lifestyle, oh my goodness, we are taking it to the next level. And so, Kathy, I'm going to ask you to just keep moving along with me so we can share the screen. So let's go ahead and get started. Here's a question, guys. You know, what are the two things that everyone in the world is consumed with multiple times a day? I want you to think about that for a second. Now, if you joined us last week, you might know the answers. You can put the answers in the chat if you think you know what it might be. But let's go ahead and show them, Kathy, that it's hunger and thirst. It's what we eat. It's what we drink. In fact, some of you are on this webinar right now thinking about what you're going to eat when you get done. And many of you grabbed a snack right before you got on. So let's look deeper into this. And as we look deeper into this, you know, one of the things that I know for sure, if you're like us, okay, you know, food tends to dominate, you know, your thoughts, right? It dominates, you know, how you live your life. In fact, many of our decisions are based on food, okay? And so let's think about the essence of survival. Think about the essence of what it really means to live. Because when you think about food, it is actually the story of our survival from the beginning of time. You know, we were consumed, you know, with what we put in our body. We were consumed with how we could utilize many of these plants for preventing illness. You know, many times our ancestors died prematurely because a lot of it was spent learning about food and how it works. And so let's dive into some of the statistics that's impacted us because of our food. If you look here in the United States, do you know that we're spending $2 trillion annually on eating, on drinking, and supplements? Wow. And so what does that now equate to as it relates to the healthcare system? We're spending 2.5 trillion. Our healthcare system, or as many people say, on our sick care system. And so let's look at what this means now. When you think about people suffering, you know, here in the United States, what people are experiencing, you know, heart disease, we're experiencing cancer, we're experiencing diabetes, obesity. But let's pay close attention to this chart right here, because when I show you the next chart, it's going to blow you away. Even though more people suffer from heart disease, especially when you compare that to cancer, when you look at the death rates from cancer, it's going to absolutely blow you away, which is why so many people dread getting cancer. So look at that, right? So 80 million people suffering from heart disease, but far less people experiencing cancer, but as it relates to the death rates, do you know that cancer death rates are predicted to actually outpace the death rates from heart disease in the next few years? And so we want to do what we can to really start to reverse some of these trends. And it really starts with the education and knowledge that we're bringing today. And so let's look at belly fat. You know, belly fat actually increases risk factors for virtually every single disease we're dealing with, you know, Alzheimer's and dementia as well. And then breast cancer. I want you to think about breast cancer and the stages of breast cancer. Think about the fact that women here in the United States are 20 times more likely to actually die, you know, from breast cancer than women in Kenya. Do you think it's because, you know, we're just, you know, unfortunately inferior? No, we're all the same. God made us the same, but some places die faster because we're eating the wrong things, okay? And so we want to look and see what people are doing around the world to live healthier and to prevent themselves from getting breast cancer like the women in Kenya, okay? And so let's look at pain and inflammation, because if you are, you know, an older person on the line, you know, over the age of, you know, let's say 50, do you know that 9 out of 10 people actually are suffering from pain and inflammation on a daily basis? Is that not crazy? And so let's look at now the fact that here in the United States, we are 37th in average life expectancy. We're considered one of the richest countries in the world, but we have third world countries that are absolutely outliving us and outperforming us. And again, does it mean that we're inferior? No, we're all created the same, okay? But the challenge is it's what we're eating. If you look at the food that heals, see, these have very low profit margins. And so these aren't often the foods that are being advertised, especially when you look at commercials and our children and what they're doing to really market processed foods, because those have such a long shelf life. And if you look at the next slide, it really dives into the aspect of foods that kill. See, foods that kill have a very high profit margin. And so because they're affordable, but it also makes companies big money, they're more accessible. And so many times we spend our life eating processed dead food, and we wonder why we're getting diabetes and cancer at these record rates here in the United States. So we've looked at the problem. Who on the line is ready for the solution? Okay, are you ready for the solution? I need to see in the chat, okay, who's ready for the solution? So let's look into what we've offered already. So if we go through the original plant-based diet, okay, the original diet, you know, what did we do in that diet? We eliminated those harmful lectins. Remember the anti-aging nutrients. See, we talked about some of the foods that really destroy our gut health so that we can get our microbiome in great shape. Number 2, we removed a lot of those grains that contributed to inflammation, grains like wheat, okay? If you've ever read the book Wheat Belly, there is truth to that. Number 3, we replaced our dairy with vegan options, or goat cheese. So many of you, for the first time, had goat cheese, okay? Number 4, we actually focused on vegetables and fruits because we knew those were the healthiest types of food available. Number 5, we allowed a small amount of pasture-raised, you know, type chicken and wild-caught fish and grass-fed beef for those who just could not give up the beef, okay? But we really tried to lean you more towards lamb, okay? Number 6, we recommended supplements to burn fat, to really work to curb our appetite, to boost our metabolism. Number 7, we encouraged everyone, you know, to really utilize CBD or cannabidiol as a way to reduce your inflammation. In fact, you often hear Dr. Rita talking about turning those fat cells brown so that we can burn that fat, and CBD helps to do just that. That's the health without the high, okay? Number 8, we also encourage, you know, yoga and rebounding and strength training, you know, getting your cardiovascular system, you know, working through exercise. And we had some of our fitness coaches like Ernestine Davis, and we had Dr. DJ Raz, okay, sharing the rebounder. So we're so thankful for everyone who helped to get physical activity into our program. And number 9, we provided a support group, okay? We provided coaches, a grocery list, and so much more to really help facilitate this program. We gave you ebooks and grocery lists, and so that was the original plant-based diet that so many of you benefited from, where we were plant-focused, okay? It was the flat belly lifestyle, but we were plant-focused. And so let's look at some of the results that happened over the course of those weeks that we were on the flat belly lifestyle. I mean, we have to give it up, for Tamika. I mean, oh my goodness. In fact, this shows what she lost through the last portion of the program, but she's lost about 47 pounds altogether, okay? So that's exciting. Let's look at some more of the results. In fact, this is Gia Bankhead, who lost 15 plus pounds. So we're super excited. She finished in 3rd place, okay? So thank you, Gia, for all that you do. And look at this last result that I'm going to show. Mary Graham, oh my goodness. I mean, she had a lot of success reducing that belly fat. Look at the difference in her belly fat. And I'm so excited because she said, hey, I'm entering this next challenge as well. So it's exciting that we went from phase to phase and just had so much success with our flat belly challenge. In fact, there were some of you who joined us from the beginning. I know one lady, she reported she lost 68 pounds. We had a gentleman that lost over 60 pounds, right? So a lot of success with our flat belly lifestyle, but we wanted to take this to the next level. If you are ready to go with us to the next level, I need you to put in the chat, next level, okay? Go ahead and put that in the chat, next level, because we put together just an amazing team. And this team is really there to really help support you in all capacities. And again, the focus is plant-based for your blood type, okay? I'm gonna say it again, plant-based for your blood type. And so now let's dig into that and really the components of where we are going together. And so the first question I have for everyone, have you ever met someone who appeared to do everything right, but still suffered the consequences of disease, or even more tragically died prematurely? I mean, we all know someone. Maybe they were in their 40s. They just seemed like the picture of health. Maybe they were exercising every day, eating better than most everybody else in their family, but for whatever reason, they suffered the consequences of disease despite the fact they were appearing to do everything right. So here's a statement that I'm going to make. In order for you to increase health and vitality, you must first understand the role of your emotions, okay? Your blood type and the impact of exercise and diet. So those are 4 areas that we're going to tackle in 2.0 that's going to really elevate you and take you to that next level. So let's look at the next slide. So emotions. In fact, we have an amazing coach. We're going to bring our coaches on different weeks. We're going to have different subjects, but one of our coaches is really, gifted and actually trained in the area of emotional health and how our emotions can impact whether or not we develop cancer, heart disease, and diabetes. And if you're one that has trouble really managing your emotions, perhaps you've dealt with a lot of trauma, we're going to look into that and bring you coaches to help elevate that and take your life to the next level. Let's look at the next area we're going to focus on, blood type. So again, I'm going to ask the question, who on this line knows your blood type? Do you know your blood type, okay? Just tell us. Say yes or no. Be honest. Be transparent. Because we're finding that most people really don't know their blood type, but that might be the single most important factor that's going to determine whether or not the diet you're eating is conducive to health or vitality. And so it's critical that you know your blood type. In fact, we're going to show you how you can take a simple test and know your blood type. Sometimes you can call your doctor, but oftentimes even your doctor doesn't know your blood type. So they're going to have to bring you in and take a test. And this test typically isn't covered by insurance. So we can show you how to do a blood type test for less than $10, okay? And you can know in just 5 minutes what your blood type is, okay? Let's look at the next area, meditation and exercise, really a way to bring balance to the body. And so we're going to really bring meditation into the program. We're going to have a meditation on Mondays. We hope you want to meditate with us. In fact, Dr. Eric Prince, is an expert in meditation along with Darlena Rose. And so we're going to have these experts that are going to come on and meditate with us. So if you're ready to do that early morning on Mondays, we're going to give you access to how to do that. In fact, we're going to go live on Facebook and really show you the healing powers of meditation, okay? Let's look at the next one. And the next one jumps into this whole plant-based, okay? And so again, we actually have coined a term. We're calling it plant-based for your blood type, because there are certain plants based on your blood type are going to respond to you much more favorably. Based on your blood type, there are certain plants that you should not even eat, okay? And it's powerful, but once you understand, these are little things that we just never were taught. That's going to make all the difference. And if you've been suffering, if you've had issues losing weight, with heart disease, with diabetes, I'm here to tell you it's based on what you eat, okay? And we're going to show you the path towards health and vitality with plant-based systems, okay, for your specific blood type. Let's go to the next one. And so here, what we want to do on this next slide, we're going to first understand how these factors hold the key to your survival. So your very survival, your ability to have a life that's full of vitality, it's all controlled by these 4 factors. And some of these factors we've never known our entire life. Some of you are on this line. Maybe you're 70, 80 years old, never knew your blood type and never knew how that was going to impact how disease would hit you and how food would affect you, okay? See, our bodies are so strong. And in fact, our body is the most brilliant and magnificent machine that we're ever going to own. I mean, we all claim that, okay? But again, it depends on what we're doing to put into that body according to our blood type. So let's look at the next one. And so here on this next slide, we want to actually look at the fact that not only do we have an unlimited capacity for healing, but we all have an internal doctor. Did you know you have an internal doctor in your body right now as we speak? And it's going to work, okay? It's working 24/7, really trying to keep you healthy and alive. It never sleeps. Your internal doctor is working constantly. See, that's the power of healing. And so look at this next slide. It says, when we eat and drink, your body is going to determine whether the substances that you're eating and drinking are friends or foe. I want you to think about that for a second. See, sometimes we eat things and our body is happy with what we ate. And that goes to work in our body for the good. But sometimes we eat something and our body is actually not familiar with it. It's not something that our blood type needs. It's not something that we need for health and vitality. So what does your body have to do? That internal doctor has to go to work hard to get rid of it, okay? And then it creates inflammation. And oftentimes our body is in a constant state of inflammation because we never knew all these years the type of foods we should be eating. And sometimes we're eating more foe than friends, okay? Tonight, we're going to change that. We're going to show you how to eat things that are friendly to your body, okay? And so one man's food could be another man's poison. One man's food, hello, Uncle Sumo. We're here at a wedding, so everybody's passing by. They're learning about food tonight, guys. But one man's food could be another man's poison, guys. I want to say that again, because I want you to understand that. One man's food or one woman's food could be another woman's poison. And you're going to learn how powerful this is more than ever as we dive into blood types, okay? So let's go ahead and dive into blood types. We're going to just show you a little bit about blood types, okay? We're going to talk a little bit about what we're doing with this new program, and then I'm going to bring up some very special guests. Now, 49% of African Americans and about 56% of Hispanics are blood type O. So most of you, whether you're positive or negative, most people are positive, so O positive is the majority. But whether you're O positive or O negative, your diet is very similar, just very little, maybe minor variations. And so when we speak about O, we're going to talk in general for all of O's, okay? But O positive, again, it's 49% of African Americans, 56% of Hispanics. And so when we look at blood type O actually does really well on a high protein diet. They do really well with no wheat, with low carbs and intense exercise. That's really the type O blood. And we're going to learn more about that when you dive into the book. It's going to really break down what a type O means. And look at this next statement. It says blood type O, it says they produce a higher amount of stomach acids, which allow for the digestion of animal protein, okay? But again, guys, sometimes just because you can tolerate more animal protein doesn't mean you need to eat more animal protein if you spent more time on proteins that were plant-based, your body would do much less work and you would be much more efficient. But the good news, compared to type A's, compared to type B's, you have this higher stomach acid that's going to really help aid in better digestion. In fact, this also contributes to more ulcers. And so if you've ever dealt with ulcers or have family members that's dealt with that, typically ulcers run in type O blood. Let's look at some actual strengths of some type O bloods. Let's look at this. It says, once overtaxed, actually, these are some of the weaknesses. Once overtaxed by stress, if you're a type O, you actually need longer recovery time, okay? You can be easily angered and maybe prone to more risky behavior, can be moody and hyperactive, okay? Poor utilization of carbohydrates. Now let's look at some strengths of the type O. The type O has a very strong immune system, okay? In fact, we consider this the ancient blood, okay? And so you have a very strong lineage, right, of very strong digestive system, okay? Thinner blood, which actually is better overall, handle stress well, and in short term. So in short term, you handle stress well, but in the long term, you tend to handle stress poorly. So knowing these things are very critical. Let's look at the next one. So let's look at type A, okay? Because about 24% of African Americans are type A. So type A basically are those who really do better on a vegetarian plant-based diet. In fact, they can handle grains much better than a type O, okay? In fact, non-GMO soy actually tends to work really well for type A's as long as it's fermented soy, like a tempeh that's fermented, right? Don't just do the genetically modified soy you see everywhere. And then when you look at fruits and vegetables, you know, type A's really do well on fruits and vegetables. In fact, type A blood produces a lower amount of stomach acids, okay? And so, and should really avoid or limit meat, because when you produce less stomach acid, it basically means it's more work for your body to do. And oftentimes meat just doesn't digest and you end up with a lot of digestive issues. And so if you've suffered from lots of digestive issues your whole life, chances are you might be a type A, okay? There are some wild caught fish that you might be able to handle, but again, in the book, we're going to give you more clarity. Here's some negatives about type A. You know, prone to anxiety, negative emotions. Remember, we talked about emotions are a part of cancer and heart disease. So type A's tend to have negative emotions sometimes. Weak digestion, congestion, lower immunity. They tend to be OCD. They suffer from lack of sleep, and they have weather sensitivity, right, where they're very sensitive to the change of weather. Now, if you're type A, you're probably thinking, oh my God, Melissa, you just brought me a lot of bad news. Well, here's some good news about a type A blood. Let's look at the next one. So look at this guy. So while type A bloods tend to have a lot of weaknesses, right, you also have a lot of strengths, okay? And so here are some of the strengths of type A blood: adaptive to change, preserve and metabolize nutrients, cooperative, domestic, organized, sensitive to the needs of others, good listeners, detail-oriented, analytical, creative, inventive, okay? And so again, so there's some great things about all blood types. The most important thing is if you've been suffering, you now are starting to see maybe why you're suffering, and we're going to bring you some awesome, amazing solutions for maximum vitality, because we want everyone to live their best possible life, okay? So in other classes, we're going to get into type Bs, which affect about 9% of African Americans are type B. The AB, if you're an AB, about 5%. So we're going to get into all of that. But here's the good news, guys. No matter what your blood type is, your chronological age is the number of years you've been alive, but your biological age is based on a number of factors, including your diet, your lifestyle, exercise, your chromosomes. And so we're going to really help you tackle that, reverse that, you know, biological age, okay, by decades, by just making some small changes. In fact, we're going to take a look at a few people that, just to give you an example, these people are the exact same age, but again, one of them biologically is a lot younger, but chronologically, they've been around, right, the same amount of years. Let's look at the next one. And here's what we find, and this is why I love the team we put together, because what we're finding is simple dietary changes, adopting, you know, more of a plant-based lifestyle, you know, making some quick, you know, alterations, sleeping more, okay, taking your probiotics and supplements and exercise, and see, all of this can reduce your biological age in just by 3 years in just a matter of 8 weeks. So would you all love to reduce our biological age by 3 years and 8 weeks? Hey, Wally, I'm here at a wedding. They're looking so beautiful coming in, and I'm doing a webinar. Yes, yes, yes. I'll tell you what, guys, this is a Nigerian wedding, so they have came dressed to impress. Maybe at the end, I'll show you a sneak preview. Okay, so here's another example of some amazing people that are defying the aging process. I mean, meet Annette, okay? Annette Larkins, who is 76 years young. Look at her. I mean, she looks amazing. But again, her biological age is much, much, much younger. Let's go to the next one. And so with the Flat Belly Lifestyle 2.0, we together 3 phases. One of them is where you can stay where we were at the first round, okay? When we did the Flat Belly Lifestyle, many of you loved the ease of the program. If you want to stay there, if you're not ready to go next level, guess what? You can stay in phase 1. Phase 2 is where we're going plant-based. So we put together a brand new grocery list. It's completely plant-based. If you want to utilize that for maximum healing, awesome. We've even identified foods on there for your blood type, okay? So we've taken the guesswork out of it. And phase 3 is where we get plant-based, and now we're really focusing on detoxing. So if you actually find yourself to be on the side where health is challenging you to the maximum degree, you're having some challenges, then we want you to look at phase 3 for maximum healing, okay? And so Dr. Eric's top picks, let's look at some of the top picks, okay? Number 1, okay, we look at raw food for maximum healing, ladies and gentlemen, okay? We have steamed vegetables, raw nutritional juices, non-GMO and organic, products. It's critical that we go non-GMO and organic. And then number 5, plant-based meats, okay? So those are the 5 areas that we're gonna focus on, Let's go to the next one. And then we're also going to include some products. In fact, tonight, Eric has been working on some additional products that we launched for our January conference. But for some of you on the line right now, you're going to have a chance to actually get your hands on 3 additional products that we've added to the system that released in January. But this crew here, because you show up, you're going to learn how next week you're going to be able to take advantage of these 3 new products, in addition to the products that we already have introduced, which includes our bitters for detoxing, our gummies for appetite control, and then our flat belly brew, so that we can absolutely take this to the next level. Let's go to the next one. And so Flat Belly 2.0, here are 4 steps for you to look at tonight. And then I'm going to bring up the amazing Eric Prince. Step number 1, starting tomorrow, you can go to flatbellylifestyle.com. You can go ahead and register for the challenge starting on November 1st, because that's when it kicks off, okay? Number 2, you can download our brand new grocery list, an ebook, when you go to the website to register on November the 1st. Number 3, you can take the blood type test, okay? Very critical that you take the blood type test. Number 4, order your products. One more item that we're gonna add to this is for those of you in the Chicago area, you're gonna be able to get your scans also, and I know Eric's gonna talk a little bit about the scans, but with that being said, that is our Flat Belly Lifestyle 2.0, and now I'm gonna bring up the amazing Dr. Eric Prince so that he can share just a little bit more about himself, and then he's going to talk about these amazing products and how they're going to help to enhance our overall program. So Eric, if you are on the line, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you. If you can unmute yourself.
I am unmuted. Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
Yeah. Okay, great. So everyone else mute there, so I won't hear any background noise. Even you, Melissa, unless you want to, if you want to chime in and ask a question, I don't have a problem with that. How much time do I have, Melissa, per se? Because I want to keep it, I want to respect everyone's time, but I want to make sure you get the proper information that you need, because this is a serious journey. We're not playing with your lives on this one. This is something that really, what I would say is effective. If we don't want nothing else nowadays, we want something that actually works. And based upon my experience over the past 10 years, let's say a decade, I've been given, through wisdom, through understanding, a lot of information that transcends what we learn in the classroom. There's a lot of things you can learn in the classroom, but It's not until you get out there and you start experiencing these things firsthand until you really learn the truth. That's how I learned the truth about emergency medicine. It wasn't until I got out there until I realized that they didn't tell me in school, they didn't tell me that I would lose more people than I could save. I would lose more people than I could save. Now, at first I didn't understand that because I figured if I had life-saving skills, I should be able to save at least a greater percentage of the people that are in front of me who are at the end of their line, but that's not the case. Here's the problem, is that because we wait so long for the crisis to show up and we're not doing anything for prevention, then a few life-saving measures are not gonna save a person. It may get your pulse back, it may get you breathing again, but then now you have a tube down your throat, so now you're on a ventilator. And we already know, based upon 2020, how that ventilator works. So you never want to be at that particular stage of your life where you have to be on a ventilator. But if it is a life-saving measure, if it is something that's going to work for you and that's going to sustain your life, then do it. But what's most important is now the journey after that crisis. What do we do from that point? Because now it's time to investigate why we're even in this situation. If nothing else, when you're sitting there in that hospital bed and you're looking around and you're smelling how hospital smells, you start thinking about life and you start thinking about, how did I get here? That's the point where you want to start to evaluate, what did I do to earn this whole situation? Because there are no accidents, people. Unfortunately, there are no accidents. That's the unfortunate part. That means that everything that happens to us happened to us for a reason. A lot of times it has to do with what we're thinking, what we're believing. It has to do with our emotions, our positive emotions, as well as our negative emotions. So Melissa was right. There's a lot of stuff to talk about, and this is the platform for us to learn. This is about learning. This is about saving not only you, but saving your family and also your bloodline, even your offsprings, because they're unfortunately, they're lost. A lot of our kids are lost, and I know it because I'm scanning them. I scanned a 13-year-old girl, and she's already borderline diabetic. So now, what's the rest of her life going to look like? When you're talking about diabetes at 13, she haven't even entered her prime years yet. Unfortunately, this is a generation of children that they say will not outlive their parents. So we're not going to count on the children to do this. We now have to come back as parents, and we have to renew our life, restructure our life, and reset our systems so that we can now begin to reteach our children, our family, and our friends how to live to eat. No, how to eat to live. So the whole aspect with blood type diet is about learning how to eat to live, eating in a way that's going to sustain your life. And believe it or not, a lot of people, I would say 3 out of 10 people know their blood type. The question is, why do only 3 out of 10 know their blood type? Because we were never really given information when we were younger about how important blood type was when it comes to what you're eating, blood type when it comes to your immune system, blood type when it comes to your digestive system. Believe it or not, there's a powerful correlation between your digestive system and your immune system. They go hand in hand. If they go hand in hand, then there has to be a correlation between what you're eating and if what you're eating is strengthening your immune system or is it weakening your immune system. Believe it or not, this is black and white, and every day you're either doing something to get stronger and healthier, or you're inadvertently doing something to get weaker and sicker. When you become conscious of these things that we're teaching you and that we're sharing with you, when you become conscious of that, now every day you start keeping score. Your body is already keeping score. That's why when we turn, let's say 45, 50, and we're looking at high blood pressure and arterial sclerosis, which is a heart disease, we look back and we realize that all of our life, the very diet that we were given when we were younger actually is contributing to the plaque buildup in our arteries. So imagine that. And these are the people we loved, our mothers, our dads, our grandmothers. You know, we ate the good food. We called it good food, but we didn't know. We just ate what our parents gave us, and that was the tradition. Now, we just have more information, so we can't keep eating like our parents. We now have to start eating based upon intelligence and information, not based upon tradition. You got to admit, most of us have been eating our life, all our life, based upon what? Tradition, not intelligence. We wonder why we're being passed down bad health instead of wealth. Now, I don't mind things being passed down to me. It's going to be beneficial for me. But I grew up with asthma, and it wasn't a fun childhood because if anyone knows how asthma feels, when you start wheezing and you can barely breathe, all you're thinking about is getting air. Air is a luxury at that particular time. So I was back and forth to Children's Memorial Hospital, and it wasn't a joke because there was a few times where, you know, we probably wouldn't have made it had my mother not gotten off her job and just came and got me. So I do give a lot of honors and respect to my mom for getting me through those tough times, but she didn't know much at that time except what her mother had shared with her and what her mother had taught her. My mom is now 79 years young. You see, I said years young. Start changing your speech patterns. She's 79 years young. She'll be 80 next year. I just talked to her earlier on the phone, and she's back at the gym working out 4 times a week. Why? Because she doesn't have any more inflammation in her knees, because she doesn't have any more blood sugar issues, because she doesn't have any more high cholesterol. She's gotten rid of all that stuff because she became as a little child, and I had to become the parent, and I had to reteach her how to live, how to eat to live. I got a question out there. I hear look commotion in the back. All right, good, we're good. So one of the things we want to talk about is toxicity. What's really causing our conditions, our disease? What's causing our aging? That's something that a lot of people don't know about, but scientists are now starting to talk about the ability for us to reverse our aging process. And we're gonna gradually share that information with everyone, but a little bit at a time, line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. It's a lot to consume. But if you take small pieces, then you can eat it and you can savor it and you can process it in your mind and your body, and then you can start to incorporate it into your life. And once you become an example of good health, perfect health, then now you can begin to share that with others. You can't help others if you first have not helped yourself. Save thyself first, and then you will understand how to help others. It's the same thing Jesus knew, and he understood that even though he can go around and he can lay hands on multiple people, he realized that that's wear and tear. That's taking him, out of his balance. So when he became a living sacrifice, which is our reasonable service, you now have to become the Lamb of God because your blood is polluted. And even when God was taking sacrificial offerings, back when there was animal sacrifice, they weren't sacrificing unclean beasts as sin offerings or peace offerings. They were sacrificing clean beasts, clean animals. So if he didn't accept unclean beasts then, he's not going to accept it now. So in order for us to become a living and worthy sacrifice, which is our reasonable service, we have to clean our blood. The life of the flesh is in the blood. So when you clean your blood, what happens? Now you represent the Lamb of God. You become the living sacrifice. You're laying your flesh on the altar, and we call it a living sacrifice because you're not dying biologically. You're just dying psychologically to the person you've been that manifested the conditions you're dealing with right now. And maybe not all of you out there are dealing with some heavy issues or some serious degeneration, but maybe you're just dealing with a little weight that you want to get off. That's not a problem. Our goal is to share with you why you're gaining the weight so that you can understand how to maintain it and keep it off for the rest of your life. I've been vegan since 2004. When I went vegan, I started losing a lot of weight because obviously I was eating a lot of animals before I became vegan. But when I lost a lot of weight, I became more lean. I went back to running track and field just so I can maintain my tone. I wanted muscle tone. I didn't want to be a skinny vegan. And so when I went back to running track and field, I discovered something that no one has ever told me. I discovered that even though I was older, I was now starting to speed back up. I was getting back my college and high school speed, even though I was in my 40s and it was 20 years later. I didn't believe it because I thought, it was just, a fluke. So I started training, and my first track and field meet in Maryland back in 2009, I was 39 years old. I went to the track meet, ran 400 meters, 200 meters. And this was a master's meet. So these were people in my age bracket. And, they handed me my butt. They whooped my tail because I was new to track and field at the time. And these were people who had been training for quite some time. So they were already into their fitness, and they had already gotten over the myths. See, once you get past the myths, the lies that we've been told, then now your body can start functioning at its optimum health. And that's the whole purpose of this process. We don't want to worry about disease and illness all our life. We want to start now to strive towards higher goals, and soar beyond the limits that we perceive. Everyone on here has limits that they have not tested. You haven't even touched the tip of the iceberg. When I ran in 2012 at the Olympic trials, I was 43 years young at the time. Now, what was so amazing was that I was now on the track with the fastest human beings in history in the world. I shared the track with Usain Bolt, who is the fastest man in history. And I watched him live run 8 seconds in a 100-meter dash, which is literally cartoon time. That's like if you're playing a video game, that's what they do in a video game. They don't do that. Human beings don't run that. But to see a human being run something that was so inhuman only gave me more motivation to start to strive for the superhuman within myself. Yeah, each one of us have a superhuman within us. And even Jesus told, he said, is it not written in your scriptures, as I have said, ye are gods? Now, Jesus said this, so don't look at me like I'm crazy. Jesus was only confirming and validating what was written in Psalms 82, which says all the foundation of the earth is out of course. As it is written, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. So there is a divine nature in us, and that divine nature doesn't call for disease, doesn't call for illness, arthritis, none of the stuff that we're experiencing. So what do we mean by the next level? We mean by taking you out of that mortal state of thinking into that immortal state of thinking. Because when you think immortality, there's abundance attached to that, wealth, generational wealth attached to that, freedom is attached to that, because you're no longer bound by disease, illness, drugs, and all the things that come with that whole world. And also you're also fit, and you also look great. That's the byproduct. So let's talk about some of we're rolling out 3 particular products with Wakana so that we can start to create or engineer a program and a process to help people to start to get back without so much effort that they've been going through and not seeing any results. So there are 3 products I'm gonna talk about real quick on here. One of them, and these products are products that I've been using for years. It's the products that I know without a shadow of a doubt that has helped me to sustain my college track and field career. College track and field. So what I mean by college track and field, I've been out of college since 1991. I ran track and field. My best year was 1990. And then after that, I pledged Phi Beta Sigma fraternity. And unfortunately, the brothers had me running around all summer. I got a little malnourished, and I couldn't go back to finish my last track and field season. The coach was upset. So I just left it alone. But 18 years later, I went back to running, and I was able to pick up right where I left off. I was back at the colleges that I was running at, University of Illinois, and these were Big Ten championship schools. These were Big Ten. These were Division I, so these were the cream of the crop. These were the kids that go to the Olympics and then go on to become professionals. So as I was competing on the college level with them, it allowed me now to begin to become the fastest in the world over 400 meters in 2011. So I was the fastest human being at the age of 40 over 400 meters in the whole wide world. And I defended that against Great Britain, India, Canada, Germany, all of the countries. I could defended that title against them. But that wasn't as important to me, to the fact that they told me that because I ate meat, excuse me. They told me because I didn't eat meat, that I wasn't going to be able to win. In other words, they were locked into the same myth that meat is the source of our power and our strength. And that's not right. It's not the source of our power. In fact, it's the source of our demise and degeneration. When I came off the animals and I started competing, I was able to process and obtain my protein much better with less energy expenditure than it does to break down a steak or a chicken breast. I was able to assimilate the amino acids into my system much faster, which means I had quicker access to my building blocks for my protein. So if I needed any type of repair anywhere in my body, I had access and supply. As a meat eater, it takes more energy to get to the amino acids. You have to break it down, and the byproduct is more mucus, more blockage, and actually more clogging up of the arteries. So that's the byproduct of eating animals. So when I was training and I was competing as a vegan, I was actually beginning to show the athletic world that there's a new way to compete where it actually extends your whole athletic career. Case in point, Tom Brady. A lot of you guys may know Tom Brady, the quarterback. Well, they talk about the fact that he's in his 40s and he's still playing football, but he's also winning Super Bowls. That's unheard of in football, but he's another example of what I'm talking about when it comes to age reversal. He's in his 40s and he doesn't see retirement, as an average football player would. They don't have a long career. But the fact that Tom Brady's diet is plant-based. They don't talk about that on the TV because they don't want to kind of give you any type of clues as to what's really going on and what's really making him do what? Look superhuman. So one of the issues that we have that one of the products is going to take care of is a clogged colon. And you know that clogged colon, that's the colon, that's the constipation, where we're not seeing the movement of waste throughout our system as fast. And now here's the thing, a lot of people will say, I'm regular, and I understand that. But what happens is anytime a person says they're regular, what they don't know is how recent is that waste that's coming out, and how recent did you ingest it? Was it something that happened that day? Was it that week? Or was it within the past 2 weeks? See, we don't know until we actually detox, until we know how much is actually in our system. We carry about 10 to 12 pounds of waste alone just in our intestines. So we're literally carrying a baby in our intestines until we deliver that baby. So we put together initially a 7 days detox when you're ready to go to the level and you want to cleanse for 7 days. And then there are other days in it, but for the people who want to just get an idea of what's going on in their body and they want to lose anywhere from, let's say, 8 to 12 pounds within 7 days. And that can be done. That's healthy, but you have to do it right. There are certain things that must happen. You must first have proper nutrition when you're cleansing your body, because the detoxification process is the most energy consuming process in the body. And guess what it also does? It depletes your vitamins and minerals in the process. So when you're cleansing for that 7 days, you don't just want to flush your colon out and your intestines out, because you're also going to throw yourself into a deficiency, vitamin and mineral. And based on the bioscan, most people that have a meat-based or animal-based diet is already deficient by the time they turn 30. So most everyone is dealing with some type of deficiency that they're not really aware of. So the first thing we want to do is I don't know if you guys, let me see if you can see this. The first product is called Longevity Nutrition Organic. Longevity Nutrition Organic. Now, longevity, and it's a part of an actual longevity line. When you talk about longevity, we're talking about living beyond 120 years, but young. When you talk about longevity, we're not looking at being old and decrepit and having someone to push us around in a wheelchair or feed us. No, that's the old paradigm when it comes to the aging process. We're talking about the new paradigm. The new paradigm is that even though I may be chronologically 120, I'm still gonna look like I'm in my 30s. Even though I'm chronologically 120, I'm gonna look like I'm in my 30s, because it's all about your biology, not chronological age. We've been taught chronological age was how we base our age on, but that's not the case. Those are only rotations around the sun, and that's chronological time. Once you disconnect from chronological time and you connect to biological time, then now you can start reversing your biological age and you can get back to your prime. For me, that prime was anywhere from 23 to 26. So when I compete at the college level, I'm competing with kids that are anywhere from 19 to 22. So 19 to 22, unless they're on a 5-year plan, but usually 19 to 22. So I'm competing with kids that are already in their prime, which puts me somewhere around 23, 24, 25. It doesn't matter as long as I'm in my 20s. I'm not injuring myself when I train. I'm not hurting myself when I'm run. I'm not running slow where it looks like I'm old. I'm actually in the front part of the race. And I would say 60% of the time I win, which means that I'm actually winning against kids that are actually now 30 years younger than me. And so I plan on seeing a powerful track and field season this year, which probably will gain a lot of notoriety and publicity, because I'm working towards that 2024 Olympics. I didn't make 2012, and everything else after that, got a little foggy, but I now have my hand on looking at making the Olympic trial standards, despite my chronological age. I don't even look at the age no more because it's not about that. One of the symptoms of a clogged colon, if you guys have it, think about this: anemia, arthritis, bad breath, body odor, blood pressure, could be low or high, brittle nails, brittle hair, circles up under the eyes, cold feet, constipation, cravings for food, depression, diabetes, eczema, fatigue, fibroids, gas, gout, headaches, hemorrhoids, insomnia. People, if you can't sleep, it may not be something that you need to take. It just means something that you need to clean out of you. Joint pain, lupus, lymphatic congestion, menstrual pain. Believe it or not, women, you have 6 channels of elimination, and that menstrual cycle is your 6th channel. So, and I know a lot of women right now are in menopause. I get that, which means you've just kind of cut off that 6th channel. What that means is you need to make sure all the other 5 channels are open. When you open the other 5 channels, guess what? You don't need to utilize the menstrual cycle for waste elimination. Those that heavy cramping and that heavy bleeding was your body trying to use your menstrual cycle in order to eliminate the waste. But unfortunately, a lot of good stuff came with it. Parasites, poor memory, prostate problems for men, pot belly, of course, that's obvious from a clogged colon, rash, ringworm, seizures, stress, tapeworms, thrush, thyroid problems, tonsillitis, ulcers, vaginitis, viruses, worms, warts, even zinc deficiency. So those are among a few when you're dealing with a clogged colon. So when you do the 7-day process, this is called liquid colonic. Now you guys know what a colonic is because some of you might have had it before, but a liquid colonic detox tea, liquid colonic is like, it's akin to liquid Drano. And we know what Drano does. Drano cleans you right out. If you got a clogged sink and you pour that Drano down there, it cleans you right out. Well, some of us have a lot of clogging going on in our gastrointestinal tract. And so this was a formula that was given to me by my herbalist when I was coming into this awareness. And it literally, it helped me get through a 40-day fast, you know, one of them holy roller fasts, like Jesus and Moses. And so the liquid colonic tea is designed to clean and clear out any waste in your body, from your gastrointestinal tract, your stomach, to your small intestine, to your large intestines, to your colon. Also within the tea, of course, are certain herbs and supplements that's going to nourish different aspects of your body as well. So it's all natural medicine. It's all whole food medicine, all holistic medicine, no synthetics, no reactions, no side effects, none of that stuff. We're going back to the garden. We got to go back to the garden if we want to heal. So this is a 7-day process. During the tea, there'll be instructions on how to make the tea. It's not hard. You just steep it. The bag is already set with all the herbs in it. And literally, I've been drinking this tea for about 10 years, and it hasn't been 1 year that this tea didn't allow me to get back on the track and compete with my children. And that's an amazing testimony right there. So liquid colonic detox tea. Now, here's another interesting thing that's going on in the body. I want you to check this one out. This is called Parasite Mucus Buster. Parasite Mucus Buster Organic. Now, that's kind of obvious, right? Because if you are a meat eater, or even if you're not, you don't have to be a meat eater to develop a lot of mucus in the system. A lot of people may know the teachings from Dr. Sebi when he talked about how mucus creates disease. Well, believe it or not, mucus is not the cause of disease. It's the consequence of inflammation. Anytime you're dealing with inflammation in the body, that inflammation leads to mucus buildup, because mucus acts as like a web, and it traps the bacteria, it traps the virus. And you know, if you've ever had a cold before, you know at the end of that cold, what are you doing? You're blowing out a lot of mucus, right? It's all the dead virus from the cold, and actually, believe it or not, the common cold is a part of the coronavirus family. So your body is already familiar with the coronavirus. It already knows the coronavirus. So all you have to do is boost your immune system. And so when you're dealing with mucus in the system, you're dealing also with malabsorption. Malabsorption. This is the one thing people miss. You got to get this part. People miss this. You can be taking all the supplements in the world, and you can be doing things that you think are right for the body. But if they're not getting into the bloodstream, then it's just coming out in the stool. You can be taking 6 one-a-days a day that has everything in it that you need. But if you have mucus buildup in your gastrointestinal tract, then there's a barrier between your bloodstream and that those nutrients getting through in order to metabolize your cells. So you got to clear the mucus out to promote absorption. And then when you promote absorption, you also got to deal with, guess what? The parasites. You can only imagine where the parasites are coming from. If you're a pork eater, beef eater, chicken eater, you're getting a lot of parasites from the different foods that we're eating, getting a lot of hormones from the different foods we're eating. So parasites do what? They kind of do what mucus do. They kind of cause malabsorption or vitamin and mineral deficiency. So that's why the longevity superfood is so important, because it has everything in there that I know that the body needs rapidly in order to replenish any vitamin or mineral deficiency. That's first. You gotta deal with nutrition. You have to deal with circulation. You have to deal with digestion, and you have to deal with immunity. Those are the 4 paramount things that you have to deal with if you want to be healthy and if you want to stay healthy and never have to see the ER, never have to see your doctor unless you're just going to visit them for a regular checkup. Nutrition is where you get the longevity nutrition. So the longevity line is a part of the whole detox process. Longevity, nutrition, circulation. One of the things that you're doing during the 3 weeks is you're coming off meat. So you're actually vegan for 7 days. But during that 7 days, outside of even the challenge, you're now starting to flush your system. You're flushing your organs. you're flushing your tissue, you're flushing your cells, and you're getting the waste out. You're getting the poisons out your body during that 3 weeks. You're also cleaning out parasites. You're also cleaning out mucus. You're also cleaning out heavy stool, heavy waste that may be blocking your sewer system from functioning properly. And the tea itself, allows you now to get rid of that 10 to 12 pounds that we're holding on to in our gut. And most important is this. The last point I want to make is your immune system. Most of us, if we are meat eaters, we have a certain level of harmful bacteria in our gut in ratio to the good bacteria. Harmful bacteria in ratio to the good bacteria. 70% of your immune system is where? It's in your gut. And 70% that you can get through college on tests if you pass with 70. That's like a C average. So if the majority of your immunity is in your gut, that alludes to the fact that it's those microorganisms, those little bacteria, and there's billions of them in our gut. If we're not treating them like residents, if we're not taking care of them like children, then yeah, they're gonna go wild and they're gonna cause our health to deteriorate. So inside of the superfood, of course, we also are putting not only probiotics, but prebiotics. You need prebiotics to help to boost and feed your bacteria, and you need probiotics to replace the ones that are killing off. Believe it or not, check this out. The bacteria in your gut actually goes through a sacrificial process to save your life. You didn't know that. The bacteria is sacrificing their life to save yours, because when they die, they produce certain enzymes, and every aspect of your body, every function of your body requires enzymes to catalyze the reaction. And the gut flora, the bacteria in your gut, creates anywhere from 3,000 to 7,000 different enzymes for 2,000 to 3,000 different functions. So their death is your life. So if they're dying, then it behooves us to make sure that we're replacing that gut flora, because that's what's keeping us healthy. That's what's keeping us strong, and that's what's keeping us alive. So in the superfood, we have the probiotics, we have the prebiotics, and not only that, but fiber. You need fiber. Why do you need fiber? Because guess what? The diet we grew up on, the beef, chicken, pork, turkey, it doesn't come with any dietary fiber. So therefore, it's going to get clogged in our system, because we need that fiber to shape the stool in order to move the waste through it. But if we don't have fiber in our system, then no, it's going to be hard to move the waste in your bowels and out of your system. So you got to have fiber. You got to have the proper nutrition. You need to clean out the mucus. You need to kill the parasites. And we need to replenish any vitamins and minerals, and also clean out the major and heavier stool in your system. So you're looking at, where they're at. So we're looking at rolling out with Longevity Nutrition Organic, Liquid Colonic Detox Tea, and last but not least, Parasite Mucus Buster. Parasite Mucus Buster. After years of studying and dealing with so many degenerative conditions, from heart disease to cancer, I've seen all of them turn around. There's nothing in your body that's final, no matter what you're dealing with. It's only final if you believe in it. If you believe in it, then yes, it will be final, because by your beliefs, you make it so. What we're doing is we're helping to change your beliefs, helping to shift your paradigm so that you can start to take your health back into your own hands. And I'm going to be here to ask any questions, to deal with any conditions. Don't try to battle anything that's life-threatening by yourself. You now have a team of people, not just medical doctors, but now you have a holistic doctor, someone who can coincide or cooperate with a medical doctor, which is what we really need in order to create perfect health. Because now people want to come off the drugs, they want to come off the medication. But here's the problem: if you still have underlying issues, it's not enough just to take supplements, especially if you're dealing with mucus in your system. You have to now take care of the prerequisites. There are prerequisites to good health. And that's what we're offering. The 7-day process, the vegan lifestyle, all of it's going somewhere. And believe it or not, everything that we're doing, everything that I talk about, anything that I preach or teach is backed up through scripture. I use scripture and the science of scripture to help people to understand that the word of God is science. And even though we read about what happened 2,000 years ago, it still applies to us this day. And so that's why it's important now to take your health back into your own hands, because the coronavirus isn't going away. In fact, another one may show up in another 4 years when the next election is here. Who knows? But don't wait until it show up just to get another vaccine, because they'll give you 100 vaccines for 100 different viruses. And so now you got all of this poison from the vaccine running through your system. So for the people who did get the vaccine, this is also what I call a post-vaccination detoxification. Post-vaccination detoxification. Why is it a detoxification for the vaccination? Because when they inject you with the virus, which is a weak version of the virus, they also put in you, or with the injection, formaldehyde. You're looking at aluminum, metal, mercury. So you're looking at a lot of toxins that are actually in that vaccine in order to try to stabilize. So yeah, they're delivering a weak vaccine so your body can develop antibodies to it. But hey, what happens to the natural immune system? The natural immune system is more than efficient to battle any virus, any bacteria, any germ, any fungus that's man-made or naturally occurring in the environment. Trust God. Return back to the garden and become the example of perfect health for not only you, your family, but also, guess what, your customers. Because if your customers look at you and they see that you're looking healthy and you're feeling good, then your supply is unlimited. Your prosperity, your abundance is unlimited, because everyone wants to live long. Everyone wants to live healthy. Everyone wants to live happy. I know that because my mother is with me, because she listened to me. Unfortunately, her husband is not with her because he didn't. And I don't say that as to try to make it seem like, I'm Mr. Right or I told you so. No, that's not it at all. My mom loved her husband, and they were dealing with the same issues: diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. They were probably on the same medications. They may have actually taken each other's medication and didn't know it. But the point is that he was set in his ways. He didn't want to change because he was from down south. So, down south, you're into a lot of that, Southern food. But you have to be willing to make some sacrifices. And that's what this is about. There's more levels to this. But first, whether you've detoxed or not your body, do the 7-day cleanse to prepare you for a 21-day detox process. You may not want to jump to that 21-day yet, but try the 7-day. Flush your body out, lose a little weight, clean out your gastrointestinal tract, put some nutrition back in your body, get the mucus out, get the parasites out, and get the waste out. And I promise you, you will feel like a new person in just 7 days. And yeah, by default, the weight is going to come off. We're not focusing on the weight. We're focusing on what's causing the weight gain. So if you guys are local, if any one of you are local, then you want to get in touch with me to do a scan. Because what we're doing is we're doing a bioscan before a person does a 7-day, and then we're going to do some scans afterward to show the effectiveness of the actual process. Because people that are coming in, if they're going to buy the product from you, they want to know if it works and how did it work on you. Because people judge you, believe it or not. I know, we shouldn't be judging each other, but unfortunately, we inadvertently look at someone and we judge them. It's no different than the guy with the nice tummy coming up to you in Bali saying he's going to train you. You're looking at him and you say, well, who's training you, right? So we don't want to be judged like that. If we're going to sell something and we're going to prosper in something, we want it to be something that people can use and it adds more value to them than they ever had before. Because if it adds value to them, they're going to share that same information. They're going to share that same product with everybody in their family, every friend in their downline, every friend on their Facebook. and pretty soon we're all going to be living a healthy lifestyle. But we'll be instead of living in crisis management mentality, we will now be living in disease prevention. And when you're in disease prevention, chronological time has no more power over you. So I'm gonna open it up. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Melissa, are you still around? Or are you hanging out at the wedding at the open bar?
Melissa is neither at the open bar nor is she on the call anymore. She is at the wedding.
Right, they be having that open bar over there. You got to be careful.
Hey, well, no, there's not any weddings like a Nigerian wedding, so I don't doubt it. I tell you, yeah, we're trying to figure out how to incorporate that in our life all the time.
Right.
So, yes, but we will open it up for any questions. So if you're not actually asking a question, please mute yourself so that we can have a clear line and everyone can hear the questions and the answers. So, you can go ahead. I'm going to put people on.
Eric,
Yes.
is a scan absolutely necessary before we can take the product, the cleansers?
No, the scan is necessary permanently and period. In other words, whether you detox or not, whether you go through any type of process of taking any supplements, the scan is, if you're not in town, then yeah, you can still go through the 7-day without the scan. The scan is actually to prepare your journey for a long-term process, because you do the 7-day, and at some point you get up to that 21-day cleanse. The scan shows you where you are before you start this journey, and you want to know where you are because you want to make sure that what you're doing is actually working. A lot of people don't know if what they're doing is working. There's a way that seems right unto man, but the end thereof are the ways unto death. So I don't want you wondering if it works or if it's working or am I healing. I want you to see it for yourself, because this is the only reason I knew I can compete against kids 30 years younger, is because I was able to see that my health and my biological age was back in my prime. I saw it. And when I saw it, I was more convinced. I had more faith. I was stronger. I had more confidence. And therefore I ran stronger. So it's just about the mind. It's always mind over matter, right? So the scan is about shifting your paradigm. But if you're not in the city, if you're not nearby, then you can actually do the 7-day and start preparing you for when you do get here. Because I know if you're not here, at some point you will come here. Or guess what? At some point, wherever you are, we're going to get out there. And that's the whole purpose. My goal with all of you on here is to make everyone wellness coaches. You want to become a wellness coaches because now you will have the power to help and save anyone in your family, any friends. Now, when someone says I have cancer and they post it, you won't just say we're praying for you. You're like, look, call me so we can battle this and win. It's a whole different dynamic, right?
Hi, Eric, this is Carol from Dallas.
Hey, Carol.
In Dallas, I'm Fort Worth, actually. I don't know where I am half the time. We have started working together. And so how does not having the scan work for me?
Well, the thing about the scan is that when you do come to the city, it's okay. The scan is just a wonderful thing to know as far as what's going on in your body at the cellular level, because there are things you've been dealing with health-wise that actually will show you on the scan. But when I do the questionnaire for people who are out of town, the questionnaire helps me to identify the patterns of disease.
Okay.
I've seen the pattern. I know that I don't really need the scan anymore, to be honest with you. I want the scan because the scan is it's more for your benefit than mine.
Okay.
I have become the bioscan because there is a pattern in which disease and your body degenerates. And so now I've discovered and learned the pattern of how to reverse degeneration. And even what I talked about earlier, the 4 things, nutrition, circulation, digestion, and immunity, those are one of the 4 paramount things that we need to be focusing on during this 7-day, as well as the 21-day when it comes, because If you got good digestion, if you got good immunity, if you got great circulation, and you have proper nutrition, then your body, as Melissa said, your body has the capabilities of healing itself and defending you against viruses without you even knowing that you was exposed to it.
Right.
All right. Thank you
that's
so
right.
much, Eric.
You're
That's
welcome.
right.
I have a question. What type of scan are you talking about?
This scan,
Where
yeah,
are you located?
well, we're out in the south suburbs, and I'm in between. I'm in between Homewood and, of course, the Wakanda building down on 35th and was it King Drive? So I've been floating back and forth. There was only one gentleman I want to apologize to. His name is Brian, if he's out there. So I want to apologize because I was supposed to get to Brian on Saturday. I was down at the Wakanda building on Friday, scanning a few people, but then I still have clients scheduled out in the south suburbs. So I'm still working on a schedule where I can get people, either you come out to the south suburbs based upon your schedule in Homewood, because you may be closer there, or when I'm down at the Wakanda building, you can come down there and do the scan. The scan is it only takes a couple of minutes, but the analysis is anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. And it's amazing because it's information about you that you were never told. So you're learning that you were never told before. So yeah, sometimes it does get longer, but it's something that you want to know because it brings you a level of comfort. So the scan has many type of properties as opposed to just showing you where you are with your health.
What type of scan? What type of scan is this?
Well, it's not like a CAT scan, MRI, or an X-ray. So we call it non-invasive. It's a non-invasive scan, which means no radiation, which means no harm to the body.
Something you put your hand on it.
Right. In other words, just using sensors. It's a seated procedure. So it's not like you have to lay down. It's a seated procedure done inside of office. And believe it or not, this technology has been out since the 80s. So this is not new. It's just not familiar or common to Western medicine. But it's using sensors. And let me say one thing about the scan. It's based upon certain algorithms, which is based upon many trials that they've done with many people, thousands of people, to develop a baseline of where you should be based upon where you are. So the scan tells us where you are based upon where you should be, which is why we can chart a course back to your prime because it traces you all the way back to when you were in your prime. So let's say, for instance, how young are you right now?
Me?
Yeah.
68.
Oh, okay, you still young. You're a young buck. So 68, this traces, the scan traces the origins of your conditions all the way back to when you were in your teens, whether it was 13, 14, and 15. And we don't know because you never had a scan back then, but it traces all the way back. So we can see the beginning of imbalance before it becomes disease. Imbalance can lead to disease, but if you correct the imbalance, then it never becomes disease. But here's the problem. Anytime we go to the medical doctor for a sign or a symptom, it will only make the condition worse because the medicine itself is actually silencing the body's voice. So the sign and symptom is pointing to an underlying issue. If we're just knocking out the sign and symptom and we're not addressing the underlying issue, then the disease will progress and it will get worse decade after decade. And that's exactly what's happening to us. So what is the scan doing? It's helping to reverse the disease process, identify the bloodline disorders, and actually move away from them as far as you can so that you can start to even rewrite your genes, because you can rewrite your genes. You're not bound by what's in your bloodline. No, you're not. You can actually rewrite your genes, as I've done with my son. So my son, Aviel Zion Prince, he's 8 years old. And the time that he was conceived in 2011, now he was conceived in 2012. That was a year after I won the world championship. So I was literally at the peak of my genetic expression. I was at my fastest, I was at my healthiest. So what did I pass down to him? I passed down him some superhuman genes that he can use throughout the rest of his life because I rewrote them. And I had him after I had gotten rid of all the meat out my system. So I didn't pass anything back down to him. And his mom at the time, of course, she became vegan as well. So what we give to our kids has to do with what we're doing for our life right now. And so that's why it's important. We're going to do a show down the line on conception and how important it is to live healthy before you decide to have a baby. Any more questions?
So Eric, this is Jewel. Thank you very much for very, very valuable information. I think I hear you saying that with your test, you don't have to use anything like a contrast dye.
Say that again. The last part.
It's a contract dye.
Oh no.
Okay.
No dyes whatsoever. We that's the medical route. That's traditional medicine. We don't need that. You know what Einstein said? Einstein said many years ago, he was way before his time. He said the future of medicine is energy medicine. The future of medicine is energy medicine. The bioscan can measure the electromagnetic frequency from cell division in your body in all the different organ systems. Every time your cells divide, and they've been dividing since you were conceived, every time they divide, your cells give off an electromagnetic frequency. The scan measures that frequency and lets you know where it is based upon where it should be. And so when your body is in a healthy state, that electromagnetic signal is strong. It's strong in your kidneys. It's strong in your liver. It's strong in your heart. It's strong in your brain. But as soon as your body starts to become toxic and them toxins start to flood your brain, your liver, your joints, your pancreas, which leads to diabetes, then guess what? That signal is not going to be as strong. It's going to be weak to a certain degree. And based upon that signal, which is plotted on the scan, I know exactly where your body is storing waste and toxins. So yeah, it'll be a more specific regimen, but when you're dealing with something life-threatening, I already know all the general stuff that's associated with that. It's a lot of people who are not on any medication right now, and may not be that much overweight, but actually doing pretty good in life. Those are the ones who are in danger of something progressing without them knowing it, because they haven't had a diagnosis. They're feeling okay. But they don't realize that they're on some pace. They're at some pace on the road to the crisis. Everyone was conditioned for the crisis. We're all waiting on the crisis to show up because that's how we were conditioned. We weren't conditioned to do anything that would prevent it, except that which was natural and that maybe our great grandmother, passed down to our grandmother, but we didn't really hold on to that. When we got sick, we wanted immediate relief. So we went straight to the ER, to urgent care, and we got it addressed. We got relief. And that's what the doctors do. They give you your relief. They don't give you your answers and explanations of why it's happening. They just give you the relief that you're asking for. So now you have an opportunity not to just deal with the relief, but now we can see what's causing the underlying condition so that you will never have to go down that road ever again. That's why you now have access to longer life.
Thank you for so thoroughly answering my question and all of the questions that you have been answering. Thank you so much for your time.
Problem. Hey, it's because I love you. I love you. And then this is how I show my love is I've already given my life for this whole thing, because as you know, many of you know that there are a couple of naturopaths out there that were very popular in the world that talked the way I talked, because these are two gentlemen that I'm a product of, two Black doctors, but now they're no longer with us. So when a person decides to step out and really start to teach and share this information with his people, he's already given his life, because there's no guarantee that Big Pharma is going to like what we're doing in the next 10 years, right?
Right.
They're going to hear about this group of people from Wakanda, and everybody's off medication. They're like, wait, why is everybody coming off medication? Why is everybody looking lean? Why is everybody healthy? Why is everybody 100 years old? it's a whole new revolution taking place because those are the changes that are happening on the planet right now.
The kind of blue zone.
Dr. Prince,
What'd you say? What'd you say?
Dr. Prince, this is Maria Mitchell. How do we set an appointment with you? And it could be at either place for me. So how do we set an appointment? And how much does it cost?
So what I'll do to make, for anyone that wants to, that's in the local area, or even let us know if you're not local, let us know when you may be willing to come to the city, take a trip. Because trust me, it's worth it. I've already had people to come from other towns and cities. I think Kathy came from South Carolina. Somebody came from, I think, Florida. So you want to travel if it means your health. You don't want to just become.
Well, I'm in Chicago, so what do I contact?
I'm gonna have you send your information to Melissa and let her know. So, because the easiest way for me is when I coordinate through text, because that way, because there's instructions you need to have before you scan to make sure we have the best results. But the scan, I'm working out everything right now with Melissa that we're going to roll out for November as far as price, but it's a nominal price. It's not expensive at all, but it's definitely necessary. A lot of people don't know the value of holistic health yet, so it's really priceless. The scan is way beyond what anybody would ever be able to pay unless they had insurance. But because people are not privy to biofeedback, because it's not a part of Western medicine. If you went to Beijing, then maybe you'll see it in their hospitals because they're a little bit ahead of us. But Western medicine doesn't deal with disease prevention, and the bioscan is about preventing disease, not waiting until the crisis show up. So contact Melissa, send her your information, and anyone else, send Melissa your information and let her know that you want to get in touch with me so that I can start coordinating with you times, because I can coordinate with a lot of people over a week, based upon what your schedule is. So whatever hour you have in your day in the week, let's work it out so you can get that scan. Because let me tell you, this is what I really need from all of you guys. I need you to go through the process, become successful, become coaches, and learn how to do the biofeedback. Because in order for us to get to the country, get throughout the country, we need more people learning and studying this type of technology, because it is the key to medicine. So there's only so many places I can be at one time, which is why I had a problem with Brian, who's probably mad at me, but I apologize to him so we can work that out. But from this point on, I'm going to try to make sure that whatever time we set with anyone, we get there as timely important. If you can't make it within the time frame, contact me and say, hey, let's coordinate. Because remember, I have to be in two different places at once. So if you need to be somewhere, if you need to meet me at 7 o'clock and you're going to be a few minutes late, let me know so I can make sure I coordinate with everyone else that needs to scan, because I may have to go from the south suburbs at 7 down to Wakana at 9. And so I'm going to be running like a Hebrew slave. So, but I'm going to do that. But guess what, y'all? I'm healthy enough to do that. So that's the beauty of this process. I'm a runner. I'm a marathon. Well, now I'm not a marathon runner. Let me take that back out. No, I'm a cross country runner. Cross country is only 3 miles. Marathon is what, 26? I'm sorry, I haven't embarked upon that yet. I'm still a fast guy. I'm still a sprinter. But the energy is amazing. The only reason I went back to run is because I had so much inexhaustible energy that I never thought was even possible. So I said, well, where can I expend this energy? So I went back to doing something I love, running track and field. Now, I never thought I'd be running college. I never thought I'd get to the Olympic trials. I never thought that stuff, but that's what was being revealed to me as I opened the door to the healing process. Once you start healing, there are no limits to where you can go.
Yeah, I have a
Hi,
question.
Dr. Prince.
Okay.
My name is Erica. I'm in Maryland.
Hey.
So I'm super excited. I am out of state, but I'm ready. I'm ready to come there. So I should send my information to Melissa too, so that we can start to coordinate sometimes.
Yes, please do. Because I'm gonna tell you, I love Maryland. I've done some work in Maryland, and that's another place that I could possibly set up a place to do scans, because there's another level to this. We're not gonna introduce it to you now yet, but you guys are not only going to be able to move certain products that's going to help people, but you're also going to learn certain skills and certain technology that's not in our hospitals over here. And these are life-saving technology procedures that doesn't require a lot of training. It just requires learning and understanding how it works and how the human body works. Just make the rest of your life a learning experience. You know, you never stop learning. So just be open to learn some new things, because that's what my mother had to do to live. But she did it.
No, I'm open. I believe in being my own healthcare CEO. I've had MS for the last 23 years, chose to not take medications. And every time I go to the doctor, they're like, I can't believe you're not on medication. You need to be on medications. Right. But I will tell you that the majority of the people that I know with MS that are on medications are suffering from the medications, not the disease.
That's why the third leading cause of death in America is medical treatment and medical error, not just error. It's also the treatment itself. And the treatment is predicated on the condition of the human body. If your body is already toxic, and the condition that you're experiencing is the cause of the toxicity, then you can't use poison to create an issue that's caused by toxins. It just doesn't make sense. So you have to remove the toxins out of the body. There is no way to go higher and draw closer to God when your body is toxic and your blood is unclean. It is no way.
No, I believe that.
So what we're giving you is the prerequisite, the precursor to preparing for the resurrection as spoken of in Scripture, and also the kingdom of heaven on earth. I see it. I see it as clear as day. And you got to understand, when you talk about the kingdom of heaven on earth, you're talking about now reaching ages of 250, 300, 400. We never thought about stuff like that. We only saw that type of age post-flood, not post-flood, pre-flood. We saw that before the flood, but we only read about it. We never really met anyone that was 300, 400, 500 years old. But scientists nowadays are saying that the first person that will reach 500 is already alive. The first person that will reach 1,000 has already been born. What does that mean? That means that we are in the end of prophecy. Everything that's happening has already been written. I could point out so many things that has happened to us as a people that's outlined in the Bible, and it was outlined before we even got into captivity, before we were even sent out on slave ships through the transatlantic slave trade. This was already written in the Bible, to just so we will know why it even happened. And so when you talk about generational curses, yes, we are. If you're dealing with inflammation, if you're dealing with diabetes, if you're dealing with sickness, if you're dealing with poverty, these are all part of the curse. God said, I will, when he said, I will bless you and keep you and cause his light to shine upon you, he's saying that he will put you on the side of the blessings once you draw closer, clean out your system, become a living sacrifice. And then now everything going on around you, not even just your health, everything starts getting better. You start having better relationships. You start interacting with your children better. In fact, your children, your family, and relatives start considering health options. They start thinking differently only because you did something for yourself. It's a strange dynamic. But when I made the decision to do and be who I am now, I had no idea I was connected to thousands of people that I would never meet, that I'm now starting to meet. So it's not just about you. You are actually a vessel for God, but God, the only way God can work through you is you have to become a living sacrifice. You have to be willing to die to who you were in order to become who you need to be. The person who I was couldn't be the person now that I'm doing, so I had to let them go. I had to let all the college experiences go, fraternity experiences. I had to let all that go and become a different person. It wasn't easy, but that's why with cleansing and detoxifying your system, this is a process that Moses used when he brought the children of Israel out of Egypt. He first had to take them through the wilderness. What did he do in the wilderness? He detoxed them. He couldn't take them straight into the promised land because they would have polluted the promised land. You see? So he had to detox them. And if you go to Numbers chapter 11, you will actually see that they were tired of eating the superfood, which was the manna at that time. They asked for flesh. They literally asked for meat. They said, who shall give us flesh to eat? We're tired of eating this stuff, this manna coming from heaven. They was tired of detoxing, which is why they didn't make it into the promised land.
That's interesting.
See, they didn't make it into the promised land because they couldn't get rid of the baggage. It was so much baggage that they accumulated. So that's where the mental and emotional toxins come from, because all that baggage is hindering you from achieving your highest and your best. So what are we doing? We're moving everyone into the wilderness where we will contend with our health, contend with our issues, our toxicity, correct it at all costs. Like I said, if you are in a city or if you're in the Chicago area, send a text over to Melissa, your number, so she can coordinate you with me. And then I can systematically work with everyone and get everyone in through the course of November and just get ready for a brand new year, 2022. Make it the best year that you had coming off 2020. But I promise you, the same way I got Mr. AC Green of 106.3, the same way I got him to help him to his optimum health right now is because we worked on his immune system for years. You know, he was, if you ever saw a before and after picture, you'll see that he was much heavier 10 years ago than he is now. He looked much older 10 years ago than he does now. And that's one of the reasons why he shared even his platform with me. And he has millions of listeners on his air because he was the one that gave old President Obama his slogan, "Yes, we can." And so it was back in 2008 when AC Green took off on his journey, but he was successful, but his health was starting to deteriorate. And so when we met, we were now able to join up, and I had no idea that 2020 was going to be a testimony based upon our friendship and my work that I did with him. But we were able to go on the air and testify to the efficacy of the human immune system. Despite any vaccines, despite any drug companies, any vaccine companies, we built up the immune system, the human immune system, to be able to defend against any viruses without there being any interruption in your workday or your daily schedule.
Eric, can I ask a question just quickly? Do you know if the ebook will have this outline of the products you're talking about and the steps, the 7-day, 21-day?
Well, now the ebook might not, but we're going to make sure you get that. So everyone, because you got to understand, and I want definitely be patient with our guys. That everything is happening so fast. Now the products they've already proven themselves, but we're connecting these products with the new process that you guys are going through. And it just so happens that you guys are coming out of a first, what they call a flat belly, first phase of it into a second phase. But guess what? It keeps on going, because there are different levels to this until you've pulled back all the layers. So we'll make sure that you'll have all the instructions that you need to steep the tea, how to proceed during that 7 days, because during the 7 days, you want to be raw vegan during that 7 days. Raw vegan means you want to be eating live. You understand? At the most, steamed vegetables, but you want to be eating live during that 7 days. And who can't eat live for 7 days? Yeah, it's going to be a challenge, but that's what it's all about. It's about challenging yourself. The only way you can grow is to challenge yourself. Yeah, you may not be happy for the first few days. Your body may not be happy because it's used to eating a certain way and a certain substance. But in order to establish your willpower and to strengthen your willpower, you have to be able to endure through a cleanse and a fast for at least 7 days, something that you're not normally used to doing, in order to achieve something that you haven't had in a long time. If you want something you haven't had in a while, you have to do something you haven't done in a while. You got to clean your system out without a shadow of a doubt. Every year, I cleanse and detoxify my body. This year, I've done it at least twice. There's not a year in my life over the next 500 years where I will not cleanse my body, because it's the reason I'm going to make it to 500, because I'm keeping the waste out of my system. And that's what I'm teaching you guys. So yeah, all the information will get to you as we finish developing it. But she wanted to make sure that I at least showed you guys the products that you're going to be using during that 7 days. And don't get me wrong, we'll have some coaching calls during that process. So you're not by yourself when you do that. But before you know it, that 7 days is going to be up so fast. The weight is going to come off fast, and you're going to say, you know what? I wish I had longer time. Well, that's okay. Just do the 7 days, get the experience, get the completion and the victory up under your belt. Because it only takes about 7 days to get you off blood pressure medication. If you're on blood pressure medication, within 7 days, I don't care if you've been on blood pressure medication for 5 years, in 7 days, that pressure is regulating. And if you take that pressure on the 8th or 9th day, if you take that blood pressure medication, there's a chance you may drop your pressure too low. So 7 days is enough to see, wow, if I can come off blood pressure medication in 7 days, then what could I do if I do a longer process? Yep, you can reverse the curse, you can reverse diabetes, you can reverse heart disease, and you can get back to living a healthy life without having to prick your finger every day or take your blood pressure. Just live normal. Of course, yes, you have to watch what you're eating. You know, you can't go out there and just wild out because, yeah, we've been wilding out, you know, over the past few decades. As we're getting older, you have to refine your diet. You have to. We just can't. We can't keep eating the way we've been eating because obviously, look around. It's not working anymore. We can't keep going to the medical doctor expecting them to heal our body. The root word of health is heal. The root word of health is heal. We're in a healthcare industry that doesn't really support the terminology that it's labeled as. You have to go holistic in order to heal your body. So we have to rename this healthcare system and call it more of a crisis care because they do well on managing crisis. They manage crisis well. I've saved some lives. Don't get me wrong. A lot of people dying under my hands doing CPR, but I saved a lot of people. I even delivered a few babies. Well, one I delivered in the car. You know, that was just an emergency situation, but the baby made it into the ER. So that was the most exciting part about it. But nonetheless, when you're dealing with degenerative disease, you have to be willing to make some changes to how you've been living and how you've been eating all your life. If you're willing to make those changes, you will literally have the life you desire.
Yeah. I had a question about the blood type connection. I was out of the room. My wife, Mom Mitchell, was here, and I was listening, so I just ran in, and I heard a little bit about it, about the blood type connection. I know you're going to talk about it later on some other day, but I have like B positive, but I was just wondering.
No. Do your wife know her blood type?
I think it's O.
Oh, okay.
I think it's O.
Well,
I used to know.
Well, just as Melissa was saying in the beginning, one person's medicine is another person's poison. One person's medicine is another person's poison. So you definitely want to know without a shadow of a doubt what your blood type is, because once you start looking at the list of foods that are connected with your blood type chemistry, then as Melissa said, there are food that is allies to the body and there's food that's enemy to the body. For instance, your blood type B, right? So what you probably never realized or were never told was that poultry, chicken, is considered poison to blood type B. Chicken, poultry, and that's just for blood type B.
Not my wings, brother, not my wings.
You know what? And I'm sorry, don't hate the messenger, man. I'm just delivering a message. and you know, a lot of Black people that are blood type B who grew up eating chicken never knew that chicken was on the list of avoid. It was on a void list, foods that you should avoid if you're blood type B. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not what you do some of the time, it's what you're doing all of the time. So if you're eating chicken every day, which a lot of people are eating chicken every day, and they're blood type B, then they're gonna have more complications as they get older than a person who's blood type O. So if, let's say you're blood type B and your wife, if she is blood type O, then you guys are eating alike. But unfortunately, you're going to have more consequences because you're eating as she's eating. She may be able to consume certain protein and digest it and assimilate it better than your body would. But if you're eating chicken and she's eating chicken, she's not going to have the same harmful effects on the antigen level when you talk about red blood cell, which determines your blood type. She's not going to have as much consequence negative as you're going to have over time. Over time, what I've seen that manifest as is severe arthritis, because what's happening is that Every time you eat a food that your body identifies as an enemy, it causes red blood cells and white blood cells to clot. Let me say that again. When you eat food that your body identifies as an enemy, it causes your red blood cells and your white blood cells to clot. And then those cells in that organ is targeted for disposal. So that means that now your body is working overtime to try to dispose of this waste after your immune system just, been triggered and now is working to try to fight for you. So think about this for a minute. All your life, you've been eating chicken. And I know you love chicken because we all love chicken. We love that chicken from Popeye. That was love, L-U-V, not L-O-V-E, because God is love, right? He don't love nothing dead. So anyway, we love that chicken, but we didn't realize that every time we eat that chicken, we're triggering our immune system. Every time you trigger your immune system, you're gonna put it into action to protect you, and it will do that. But just like with any army, you have to keep that army maintained, or they're gonna start to fall behind. They're gonna get weak,
Right.
And then it won't work as much for you as it did in the beginning.
Right.
If you never knew that chicken was on your avoid list, then maybe you would have been eating it had you known less frequent than you do now. You would have managed your frequency. You would have stopped eating it as much, but at least you would now know that eating it does have a negative effect in your body. That doesn't mean you're going to drop dead overnight after a chicken sandwich. No, it just means that at some point within the next 10 years, whatever issues you have with inflammation in the joints, in the heart, and the liver, you can best believe that it had a lot to do with the fact that you were eating a food that your body kept identifying as an enemy, but yet you continued eating it, which made the immune system hyperactive. Anytime your immune system becomes hyperactive immune system is the foundation of autoimmune diseases. What is autoimmune diseases? That's when your immune system comes out firing, but then it fires on itself, hurting you. Immune system should defend you, not be the main culprit hurting you. But listen to this. In 2020, that's exactly what was happening to most of the people. Their hyperactive immune system was actually what was causing the blood clots in their lungs. Let me say it again. Their hyperactive immune system was causing the blood clots in their lungs, which caused them to have to go on the ventilator. Wow. It was not the virus killing people, it was their own immune system killing them.
Thank you so much, because my wife doesn't eat chicken anyway.
No, I'm a pescatarian. I stopped eating meat 2 years ago.
Okay. So
okay. And then,
so I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna, because she don't cook it for me anyway. I have to cook myself.
Well, I eat plant-based chicken, but it's not spelled with the C, it's spelled with the K. And there's really no difference. You're still getting the protein that you need. And man, my barbecue wings, plant-based, taste great. You just have to start sampling some plant-based foods that look like the food you used to eat. That's all you have to do. Just sample some plant-based food, whether it be vegan lasagna, whether it be a vegan chicken sandwich, a vegan steak. There are now a lot of options that you can choose from in order to eat healthy, if you decide you want to start to investigate plant-based protein instead of animal-based. But I promise you, it will make your marriage, your life, more rewarding for the rest of your life. Because in a lot of men, get me that pot roast. What you say, Mooney? Right, we have vegan pot roast. So Thanksgiving, I may eat tofurkey instead of a turkey, right?
I'm trying, man. Love it, brother, because I'm like, man, what about my pot roast?
And you know what? We have to be willing to sever some relationships, not just with people, but with food. We have a lot of strong relationships with food, and we love the food, but the food don't love us. You know, animals are killing us from their grave. And so that's why it's important now. We need, if God is turning us back to our original diet, then we need to find out the best way to get back there, where it's not as much of an effort as it seems like it is, because right now it's an addiction. We are addicted to the food we're eating. So that's why it's hard for us to just let go of it, because we're addicted to it. You know, my son, if I put him in a room where there's a fish fry and a chicken fry going on at the same time, he's not going to be tempted. That no one is going to be able to offer him any meat at all, because he was trained in the way he should go. So therefore, he's not going to eat meat because I never gave it to him. And like I told you before, the reason we love meat is because we were given meat when we were younger. As soon as we can eat our teeth. What about tuna and salmon? So listen to this. I don't know if you guys heard me when it came to fish. So get this. You got to understand this part. This is most important. One of the reasons why you're doing a vegan challenge is this. The heavier animals, beef, pork, chicken, turkey, lamb, rabbit, they have higher body temperatures than human beings. So when we eat their proteins, we have a problem breaking down their oils. That's why their oils cause backup and sludge in our system, and it clogs up our arteries. When we eat fish, the difference is fish have eyeballs too, fish have parents too, fish have kids too. The difference is fish are cold-blooded creatures, which means their body temperature is less than human beings. You eat fish, you can break down their oils. You eat chicken and turkey, you can't break down their oils effectively. And that's what's clogging us up. That's why heart disease is number one, because we're a bunch of herbivores eating as carnivores. And true carnivores and omnivores, and get this, true carnivores and omnivores do not get heart disease. That's research right there. A true carnivore and an omnivore does not get heart disease. Only herbivores get heart disease when they eat animals. And the fact that heart disease is number one is the indication that we are a country of herbivores eating as carnivores. And that's what's clogging us up, and that's what's sending us to the hospital. Any more questions out there?
Do you have a podcast, Eric?
I'm working on it. I have, I'm on the air here in Chicago in 102.3, and then I've done some stuff on 106, but I haven't gotten to the podcast yet. I do have a YouTube channel that's launching with a lot of this information on there. But at some point, once I get enough coaches that's helping me to help our communities, then I'll have that time to just put more information out there, because a lot of the information I get, believe it or not, is not just coming from books. It's coming from divine revelation. Amen. When you start reaching a higher frequency, a higher level of consciousness, because you're cleansing and detoxing, Amen. And what happens is you start tapping into greater information that's already out there, ancient information that's been here all along. But when you have a bad diet, it's almost like you're grounded. You don't have access to higher information. So you're kind of locked into whatever man is giving you through media, whatever he's giving you through just his books and his education. But remember that the prophets of the Bible, they wrote the scriptures through divine revelation, which means they had to be at a higher place to receive that wisdom. Nobody taught that to them, not a man. It was not revealed unto them by flesh and blood. And so what does it say? The Holy Spirit does teach you everything. But in order to access that Holy Spirit, you definitely have to begin to vibrate on a higher frequency. And what I mean by that is when Moses went up into Mount Sinai and he fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, when he came down, what did they say? They said his face shined so bright that they couldn't even look upon him. That means that his countenance was so bright because he hadn't eaten anything. So the law of vibration postulates that everything vibrates. The computer we're talking on, the couch you're sitting on, everything is at a vibrational level, because at the baseline, at the bottom of your smallest level is energy. And energy has a frequency. So based upon what you're eating, based upon how you're living, how you're thinking, you're either going to have a low frequency or you're going to have a high frequency. When we talk about getting rid of emotional and mental toxins, it's so that we can raise your frequency so that you can now hear the thoughts of God and not just the thoughts of man. God said in Isaiah, he said, my thoughts are higher than your thoughts, just as my ways are higher than your ways. What he was saying is that when he said my thoughts are higher, that means his is deeper on a higher frequency. So in order to hear the voice of God, you have to get away from all the lower frequency noise that comes from the lifestyle we've been living and we've been given. Okay. Let me say, I had some stuff was coming to. I'm not used to a lot of Zoom calls, so if these now if I go back to some of the stuff that people were asking, like check out, so there's a lot of vegan restaurants out right now. So it's not hard being vegan or vegetarian in Chicago because there are so many options now, a lot more than we had ever before. Tuna and salmon, yeah. If you want to lose weight and you still want to eat, some type of meat, fish is meat, believe it or not. It is an animal, but obviously it's much better for you than beef, pork, turkey, and chicken. If you go to the health food store, you're gonna find fish oil, right? You're not gonna find chicken oil.
Right.
There you go.
You go to Jewel from some chicken oil, that's gonna clog you up. But if you go to the health food store, you're gonna see fish oil, or you're gonna see what's called algal oil. I take algal oil because I don't do fish oil because I don't eat any animals, but I do what's called algal oil. Algal oil. And guess what? That's the oil or the plant that the fish eats. The fish eats the algae, and that's where we're getting the oil from the fish. So we're actually getting our fish oil secondhand. I stepped over the fish and just started taking the algal oil, and that was better for my body. So there are a lot of ways in which you can replace what you're eating, what you're doing with something that's going to be healthier for you. But definitely, whatever you're doing now, you want to cleanse your system and just try the 7-day for right now, just to see how your body fares, because some people may end up in the hospital from cleansing and detoxing their body, depending on how toxic they are. The more toxic you are, the more you're going to have more detox symptoms. Now, the products are designed to mitigate your symptoms of cleansing. Mitigate means to make less severe. So the products are designed to mitigate it, because you don't know how toxic you are until you start detoxing. And then once them poisons start coming up, they got to find a way out. So if you don't neutralize them as they're coming out, then they're going to go back into the organs and systems, and they're going to cause what's called auto-intoxication. That's when the toxins start backing up into the organs, and you start having flu-like symptoms. You start having fevers, start having chills, and it feels like you're getting sick, but you're really just detoxing, that's all. So the goal is to make it nice and easy as possible so that you won't have to worry about that. And once you start the cleansing process, make it a part of your life forever. Never stop cleaning your body. Never stop resetting your system. For me, I don't age past 12 months anymore because I reset my body at least once or twice a year. That means I reset my immune system. I reset my digestive system. I clean out my vascular system so that I will never have to worry about heart attacks or strokes. What I'm concerned about is how fast I can get that oxygen to my muscles so that I can run my fastest race. So for me, keeping my body clean is keeping it metabolically competitive. Metabolically competitive. As long as I stay metabolically competitive, it doesn't matter how many times I take a trip around the sun. It just doesn't matter anymore. So the truth, Aaliyah's song, age ain't nothing but a number. Well, let me modify that. Chronological age is nothing but a number. And that's the truth.
Hey, so
Dr. Eric, I have two other questions. One is, how would you recommend getting a blood type test? Because I don't know, do I just go to my doctor and ask, or?
Well, you can. nowadays they're giving you a hard time, and Melissa found out too that they're giving you a hard time for some reason when you want to get your blood type. Is for some reason it's not covered up under your insurance, but yet if you have to go to the hospital, the first thing they do is draw on your blood. So they should have a record of that. But for some reason they're not having records of them. They're making you go through loops to try to get it. And that might be because when a person decides that they want to start knowing what their blood type is and they want to start knowing which foods are best for them, then that means that they want to take their health back into their own hands.
Absolutely. That would be my thought.
You know what the motto is, a patient cured is a customer lost.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, thank you. So my other question then is, so when you talk about the detox, so I've been doing the flat belly, the number one, the flat belly, the regular flat belly, the original. And so we've been doing the bitters, and I do the bitters still weekly, just 4 ounces every week to keep things flowing. And so with that being said, so this needs to be different than what you're talking about, right? So
so you're going to the next level with this, because everything that you got from the flat belly, it's now in your system. It's now saturated in your system and it's working. But here's the cool part about this process. Once you flush your system for 7 days, it resensitizes your system. Now the products are going to be amplified. They're going to work twice as better, because guess what you just did? You just cleared all the mucus out, all the waste out, all the parasites out. You've saturated your system with all the nutrition that you need, and you also unclogged any major blockage. So now when you take those products, it's not taking a long time, and they're assimilating into your system much better than they were before. And not only that, but now your food is assimilating. And another thing that we're going to talk about is proper laws for eating. We don't know that there are laws to eating, because certain things take longer to digest than other foods. Proteins take 5 hours. Carbohydrates may take 3 hours. Fruit may take about 1 hour, 30 minutes. So how you eat and what you eat is going to determine how well it digests in your system. And so that's why it's important, because your digestion is connected to your immunity. If you're digesting your food properly, then you're preserving your immune system and you're not taxing it. So now it's ready to defend you when something foreign is in the environment.
Okay. No, I truly believe that. I believe that MS for me came from stress and from the foods I was eating, and lack of exercise and other things too, but mostly from those 2 things. So so I'm ready. So is there any, so Melissa said something about the figuring out your blood type. Is that going to be something
I would say everyone needs to figure out their blood type. You can order a kit. I probably should have called, Dr. I forgot how you pronounce his name, Adamino. But anyway, he has a kit, and the kit is only $9. I think Melissa bought like maybe 20 kits, and she's been helping everyone around the office to get their blood type. The kit is only $9.95 just to get your blood type. And once you get your blood type, I promise you, you will never forget it after this. Most of society don't know their blood type, and we should know our blood type if it does play a major role in our immune system. And that's the reason why so many people were having complications in 2020, is because we didn't know our blood type. We didn't know where to get it. We knew where to get it, but we didn't really care about getting our blood type. Now that you care about it, now it's a challenge getting it. So therefore, all you have to do, I'll have Melissa send out a link. Get your blood type so that you'll know exactly what your blood type is. Get the food list, because when she gives you the workbook, it's gonna show you all the foods that are relative to your blood type chemistry. Yeah, it's gonna require making some changes. You're gonna find out that a lot of the food that you love so much is actually on your avoid list. You're like, wow, I love this. And that's when you're gonna realize that all the food you've been eating has actually been causing you to earn the weight gain, earn the inflammation, earn the fatigue, earn the clogged arteries. We've been earning this stuff. We just never knew how we was doing it.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Eric. Yes,
Yes.
can you tell me that algae oil you spoke of? Can we find that in the health food store?
Yeah, it's yeah. If you ask, you would have to ask someone because it's not like you can go and just find it. Normally, the algae oil you may find it in like the cooler section because it's oil that tends to have to be refrigerated. That's how you know how potent it is. It's refrigerated. But if you go in any health food store, ask them for algae oil, they'll point you to it. Sometimes it's a small bottle. You only have to take maybe a teaspoon a day. But that gives you everything that you need from omega-6, omega-3s, omega-9, everything that your body needs in order to function properly and also boost your immune system.
Thank you.
You know what? Let me see if I don't know if you guys could. Well, you probably can't see that. They can't see that. That's light against light. Okay, it's called Algae Omega. Algae Omega by Nordic Naturals. So thanks to Sharon, because Sharon works at a health food store. So any questions you have concerning any supplements, health food, I can get the information from you that the health food stores are holding, because sometimes health food stores do have everything that you need, but sometimes you may have to order. But Algae Omega, Nordic Natural. So yeah, that's the oil, and they're like little gel capsules. And then
how do you spell algae?
Algae, what? ALGAEL. Algae. I spell algae. This is algae. Oh, algae. No, it's just algae. No, but algae oil. So if they go in there and ask for algae oil, he just asked for how do you spell algae oil. But yeah, just ask for algae oil. But ALGAE. Algae is anybody?
Just say algae.
Yeah, say algae. But if you just really want to know what algae oil, so algae oil, is that algae oil? Look up algae oil for me so I can make it. But anyway, just ask for algae oil. Algae oil, that's the best way. And algae, of course, believe it or not, we have blue-green algae in the superfood. So the longevity nutrition that you're taking for that 7 days, it also has your richest algae nutrition in there in order to nourish your cells at their highest level. So that's why I chose these particular ingredients. And you'll see all the ingredients on the packages. So it's all natural, no preservatives, nothing synthetic, no GMO. It's all organic, and that's what you want to start putting in your body in order to clean it out.
So is sea moss considered organic also?
Sea moss, it depends on where you get it from. Some sea moss is organic, but you want to check to make sure that it's organic, because not all, just because it's from the sea don't mean that it's organically grown. But just make sure when you buy it, make sure that it says organic, especially something like sea moss.
Okay.
Algae, okay, algae. So yeah, ALGAL, algae. Yeah, say Beatrice, it is Nordic Naturals algae oil. There we go. Thank you, Beatrice. Win-win with donating blood. Yeah, some people donate blood and they get their blood type then. Have anyone donated any blood lately? Got it. Okay. No. Well, I mean, I don't think I've ever donated blood, but I would. My friend AC Green, he actually donated his blood once he realized he had the antibodies to the coronavirus, but he got the antibodies naturally. He didn't take any vaccines or virus. He got exposed to the virus at the end of December. I mean, at the end of 2020 in December, and he developed antibodies for it. And he started to use his blood now, his plasma. He started to donate it for the sake of helping other people that are dealing with this condition. That's the best way. I would trust taking his blood and helping me with my immune system than a vaccine right now. And I'm not saying anything about the people who have taken it. Some people do have to take it. I'm just saying that that's not the only option. That's just man's way of trying to protect man. But when you go back to God's way of protecting man, it clears and covers all bases. It goes back to the origins of when all the imbalance started. And that's what you got to do. You got to go back and you have to backtrack and clean up your whole life and everything that you've learned, even all the habits that you've developed over years. Valiant does Valiant is that Valiant? That Valiant does it here in Oakland. Valiant blood donation. So if you guys are interested in donating blood, hey, I'm telling you, there's nothing wrong with it. Just make sure you got good blood, because you want to give people good stuff. Let me see. And I'm gonna see if I get to all the questions. I did get some people to type in. By the time I realized you was typing stuff in, I couldn't focus. So if there's any other questions,
this is awesome. We want to respect your time. We just appreciate this. We will do this again and have you back again, Eric. So thanks again. This is Kathy, and I can tell you guys that this scan is absolutely worth it. It was worth my drive from South Carolina.
That's right. Thank you. I didn't know if he was on. I didn't know if he was online, Kathy. But yes, Kathy is definitely. She just finished. Did you talk to Sharon? And you go over
I did have the consultation, and so I'm ready to roll. I got to get my algae omega. Apparently, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, nothing wrong. Because see,
But
you're doing the 3-week cleanse, and some people may want to just jump into that the 3-week cleanse if you're dealing with some issues, some major issues that just needs to be addressed right now. A lot of times the 7-day is kind of a jump start, especially if you want to lose a little weight, or maybe if you do have a high blood pressure. That's a way to kind of get it under control in a short period of time. You want to cleanse periodically. Some people cleanse maybe 7 days a month. Every month they'll do a 7-day cleanse. I started doing that after a while before I started back running. Now that I'm training, I can't really do that. But before I started training after the pandemic, I was doing a 7-day cleanse each month. And what that did is that always allowed me to, if I got too far away from where I needed to be, the 7-day will put me right back where I needed to go. And then in August, every August, I would do a 3-week cleanse, because that's my off season and my off month. That will prepare me for my preseason track and field training. And then I'd be ready to go. And I'm always at my ideal weight. So, but even during the cleanse, I'll still lose anywhere from 10 to 12 pounds, which is nothing but waste that accumulated in my system over the past 12 months. So that's why I say I reset every 12 months and I get rid of all the waste that would have caused me some type of aging if I had let it stay there. You have to understand that every year you allow waste to just stay in your body, and that waste your body has to do something with it. If it's not processing it or eliminating it or assimilating, it's going to store it. Well, there's only a few places your body can store waste. One is fat tissue, so that's where you're seeing the weight gain, and the other one is your organ systems. And so that's where a lot of the waste is being stored. That's leading to the degenerative diseases that we're experiencing. And that's why, because it's all about acidity. The more toxic your body is, the more acidic your body is. So what are we doing for 7 days? You're alkalizing your body. Once you alkalize your body, you close the door to calcium leaching. You close the door to osteoporosis, and you can start strengthening and rebuilding your bone. Because I know a lot of times as we get older, we become more prone to fractures. The reason we become prone to fractures is not because we're getting older. No, we're not going to believe that anymore. We're becoming more prone to fractures is because we're allowing our bodies to stay acidic and toxic. And your body believes in life over limb. So it'll save your life, but you'll lose a limb, which means it's going to pull calcium out of your bones in order to try to raise your pH back up so it can sustain your life. If you never correct the pH, then you will never stop leaching calcium. And at some point, your bone density will be decreased.
Wow, Eric, you have really given us so much to think about. And as I mentioned, the scan that we did It was so powerful. Your wealth of knowledge is saving lives, and I'm so happy that we are partnering with you and being able to share this information with everyone. We do want to bring you back regularly to talk to our Flat Belly Lifestyle crew and certainly the Wakanda family. We appreciate what you guys are doing. And guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up tonight. And thank Eric so much for your guidance, your information, the knowledge that you're bringing from Dr. Sebi and all of your other mentors. And we just appreciate Melissa for having the forethought to bring you part of the team and bring this to the Vakana family. So we appreciate that, and all the people that along the line that were part of bringing you a part of our family, Willie and all of your entire family there. So, listen, guys, we are going to wrap that up, and we really just appreciate you guys for joining us tonight. We will see you next Sunday. All right, you guys have a wonderful night and happy November, guys. This is the beginning of the busiest, the most wonderful time of the year. So have such a wonderful, wonderful night. Talk to you soon.
All right. Have a good night.